Vibe, and I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel where each and every week I interview players one-on-one. And the cool thing about it is I always say I work for the fans. So I always take questions from you guys, ideas from you all, and I put that into my interviews with these players every week. And something very fun at the end of the interview is I do an activity like Office Olympics, just something really fun. And I don't always win, but that's not the point. Just so you guys can get the chance to see these players as people, not just as guys with helmets on running around on Sundays. It's really cool. So if I have your interest, please click subscribe to my YouTube channel and let me know what you think. What's going on? Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe. Today is game day, November 29th, where the Carolina Panthers will be traveling, or have traveled at this point, to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Hey, as always, like, subscribe, tell a friend, hit the bell notification, and if you're following me on YouTube or Twitter, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, I invite you to go ahead and jump on over to YouTube if you have any questions, because that's where I will see all those questions coming from. Nickname Man of the People. Why? Because I like to work for the fans. If you guys have questions for coaches or players, I hope that's why you're following me and like this channel. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And question of the day, tell me who you think is going to win today and why. So what's up, Chris Johnson? Man, you always made it. Made it first. Good to see you, Chris. Happy Thanksgiving to some people. Michael White, what's going on? Good to see you. Shelly Long, what happened? What do you mean what happened, Shelly? Did I do something wrong? Anyway, Shelly said, what happened? I don't know what she's talking about. So type what you mean there, and I will certainly get into your questions. I'm actually going to wait a split second to see if Shelly tells me why she typed what happened. I don't know what I did to make her say what happened. All right, so one other quick note, independent media, 100% supported by you fans, you viewers. So super chats are always welcome, and there's also a link in the description to support the store to help the channel continue to do what we do. So let's go ahead and talk about this game. All right. Let's see. Now I want to go, what order do I want to go in this morning? All right, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this game. Few transactions. So I always like to start with the transactions that we have had with the team since we have last spoke. And let's go ahead and take a look at them all. Not a whole lot. And man, I continue to feel sorry for some of, I won't say feel sorry, but I just wish I could meet some of these guys. I hadn't took the time to look at the stats, but it's this guy that I'm about to show you. The kicker, Taylor Bertolet, that has to have been on the practice squad, off the practice squad about 5 times a season. But nevertheless, we signed kicker Taylor Bertolet to the practice squad. Plays wide receiver Ismail Hyman on the injured practice squad list. Sorry, drinking some water there. And then we elevated defensive back Natrell Jamison to the active roster. He is a COVID-19 replacement. So those are your transactions since we last spoke. Those mostly happened Saturday. Now, we already know that Christian McCaffrey did not travel with the team, so I wanted to put that out there. I know that inactive list is about to come out, so we'll go over that before the game kicks off versus the Detroit Lions. But, you know, my 2 cents, Coach Rule, I like you, but I think you're giving us a lot of coach talk about Christian McCaffrey because, you know, we talked to him on Friday, and he was going to travel with the team, and then the next day he's not traveling with the team. So why the change? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much, but I just think we're getting a little coaches talk. Also, just a little bit of NFL news for you guys. Steelers and Ravens, that was supposed to be a Thursday night Thanksgiving game. It was moved to being Sunday. That has now been moved to Tuesday. So the NFL is continuing to ratchet up a lot of their COVID precautions and do things to try to keep the season intact. Probably lots more news about this before the end of the season because currently in the U.S., we're experiencing another wave, a lot of increase in COVID-19 diagnosis. So we'll try to keep you informed about that as much as we can. And then I got one other good one for you that's related to the COVID-19, which is currently sources are reporting that the New Orleans Saints have been fined for a Week 9 game in which after the game they were not wearing their mask. So what is the penalty? So far it looks like, and this is $500,000 fine and a 7th round draft pick that they will lose. New Orleans Saints will be appealing that and trying to get that reduced. Obviously, they'll probably be okay with the fine, but definitely do not want to lose a draft pick. So that is a little bit of NFL news for you guys out there. So let me go ahead and move forward with getting you prepared for this Carolina Panthers and Minnesota Vikings game. Last week, Panthers are now 4-7 after winning against the Detroit Lions, 20-0, first shutout since 2015. The opponent, the Minnesota Vikings, they are 4-6, and they're coming off a loss to the Dallas Cowboys. That game they lost 31-28. And overall, these teams have played each other about, what's my quick math, 14, 15 times. Minnesota leads the series 8-6. All right, so let's continue to move on to, hey, we got some likes. I appreciate those likes that you guys. I'm going to stop saying you guys. I'm going to start saying you all. Looking for my shoe here. What's up, Michael Jones? Let's see, can I give you guys some miscellaneous sports news? Mike Tyson, was it Roy Jones? Who did he fight last night? But Mike Tyson fight was a draw. And Mike says he's going to fight again and wants to fight again. And Nate Robinson and the YouTuber, I forget the YouTuber because I'm not that cool, but Nate Robinson was knocked out and says he still wants to fight. Look at my shirt. My collar's a little messed up. Why didn't you guys tell me my collar was messed up? Let me fix my collar here a little bit. I don't like the way that looks. And then let's go ahead and get into some interesting facts. Yes, ready for a W. So, hey, go ahead and leave your comments below about who you think is going to win this matchup. But let's go ahead and get into some interesting facts for today's game. All right, so our Carolina Panthers continue to shine on offense. Our defense has been catching up with us a little bit, but so far, Carolina Panthers, only team this season with 2 players having 800+ yards receiving. That also gives us the leading duo with 1,681 yards of receiving from those 2 players. Those 2 players will be DJ Moore and also Robbie Anderson. Now, both of these guys spectacularly are on pace to have a 1,000-yard season. I'm going to give you a little trivia. Who was the last combo duo to have a 1,000-yard season for the Carolina Panthers? And it's been a long time ago. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds to think about it. You probably want to guess, because I would be first thinking like Steve Smith, right? And Muhsin Muhammad. But all right, Muhsin Muhammad and Jeffers were the last duo to have 1,000 yards receiving, and that was a long time ago. That was in 1999. D'Angelo and Stu. No, so Michael Jones guessed duo for running, which I don't know if I didn't clarify, but I'm talking duo for wide receiver. Receiving yardage, the last duo to have 1,000 yards, that would have been Jeffers and Muhammad back in 1999. All right, let's continue on with some more interesting facts for you guys. Quarterback Teddy Bridgewater ranked 2nd in the NFL with a 72.1 completion percentage. He should be starting today. I'll have that information on the screen for you guys in just a second. And then wide receiver, let's not forget about Curtis Samuel. Here's a miscellaneous question for you. I don't know what his contract is, but do you think that Curtis Samuel will be able to stick with the Carolina Panthers again next year? You know, it was rumors that they were trying to get something for him this year, and that didn't happen. I'm just curious, you know, with things progressing for Curtis, and will we get rid of him? Will we try to get something and get something for him to improve maybe the defense? Who knows? But anyway, let's continue on with a few more facts. You know, Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore are leading with their receiving yards. Anderson ranks 4th in receptions, 10th in receiving yards. He has 71 receptions, 818 yards. DJ Moore ranks 5th in the NFL with 863 receiving yards. He has also, he just dropped a little bit, but he is in second in the league with an 18.8 yard average yard per catch. So Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore continue to be, they're like an interesting duo, right? Because, a lot of wide receivers are known as prima donnas, really boisterous and things like that. But we got what I feel like are two of probably one of the best combinations that are the quietest wide receivers there is. DJ Moore doesn't say much at all. And then Robbie Anderson says even less. So it's a little bit, in my opinion, it's a little bit because they're so low key, you don't really realize just how good even when they score, I think DJ Moore may show a little bit more flair when he scores, but even when they score, these guys are pretty capable. But nevertheless, let me continue to get you ready for this matchup. Got to keep all three. Yeah, keeping all three. And you know what about this three guys that we have? Maybe the fact that Christian McCaffrey isn't in is allowing those three to do what they do. But you also think let's keep all three if by any means possible. Those are some of the interesting stats for you. Oh, did I forget Curtis Samuel's stat? I think I forgot Curtis Samuel's stat. Curtis Samuel ranks second among wide receivers with an 84.5 receiving percentage and second in the NFL with 23 receptions on third down. So it is quite amazing, quite great that you have a guy of his stature, meaning he's not the tallest guy, he's not the biggest guy out there, which is kind of what you look to have on that third down. Is like this big guy who could just post up, if you will, and catch a pass. Curtis Samuel, smaller than average. He's been our third down possession receiver, and it's great. He has 256 receiving yards on third downs, and that is the fifth most in the NFL. All right, got a few defensive stats for you. At least I had a few defensive stats that I do not have ready for you on the screen, but I'll just go ahead and read those to you because I am now more prepared when I'm doing these live shows to have backup information. So defensive information for your safety, Jeremy Chin leads all rookies this season with 73 tackles. Defensive end Brian Burns is just, it's like you can't wait for this guy to fully develop in year 3 probably. Trey Boston calls him their lead dog in only the second season. He ranks first in tackles among defensive ends with 41, tied for fourth in quarterback pressures. A few weeks ago I put up a stat that he has the fastest snap to quarterback time in the NFL, and tied for third in forced fumbles with 3, and he's also 10th in the league in quarterback hits with 16. Last but not least, linebacker Shaq Thompson is tied for 8th in the league with 84 tackles. So I'm sorry I didn't lost my screenshot for that, but those are some defensive stats for you guys. Normally, I also have some top 10 rankings. Don't have any of those because, well, we've been falling a little bit. When we're going on that winning streak earlier in the season, we were moving up in some of those rankings. Right now, we don't have any of the top 10 rankings as a team that I like to consistently report about each week for us. Notable connections is something that I always talk about each week. We hadn't had one for a couple of weeks. We are back to a great notable connection. Quarterback Teddy Bridgewater used to play for the Minnesota Vikings. He was selected by Minnesota in the first round, 32nd overall back in 2014. Started all 28 games for the Vikings from 2014 to 2017. Rookie of the Year honors. That is your notable connection. Is Teddy Bridgewater motivated to play today? Absolutely. Is he excited to play today? Absolutely. I was asked early in the week, do I feel like he's going to show out? I think he's going to be the same good quarterback that he's been. I put up a stat earlier about his completion percentage rating. I just told you about the wide receivers that he currently has leading duo in the NFL with receiving yards. So I think as a quarterback, you can't do anything adrenaline-wise to show out or perform any better than normal. But I think that he's certainly motivated and hoping, wishing, and will be doing everything he can, as he does every week, to put this team in the victory column today. Let's go ahead and go over the inactive and active list. And again, appreciate everybody for watching. If you have any questions, if you're watching on Twitter or over on Facebook, I always invite you to go on over to YouTube. Man of the people, I love to work for you guys, get questions answered for you from coaches or players. And don't forget, after the game, about an hour and a half after the game, I am going to go live again with post-game coverage of what players and coaches have talked about. So if you have questions for players or coaches, let me see if I can properly put it up right here on the screen. Drum roll. Here it is. So if you have any questions for players or coaches and you're watching the game, best way to get that information to the man of the people is use that Twitter information that you see right there on the screen. I will be on Twitter the entire game, giving you some tidbits, but also taking questions from you guys to ask the players or coaches. So give me just a second, and I'm going to get up the inactive list for today's matchup. Just a second. Hey, some good information in here today. I cannot copy and paste fast enough. Just a moment. All right. Appreciate everybody's patience here. Got the graphics ready. Let's see. Is my graphics machine not working properly? All right. Let's try this one more time. Sorry about this. All right. Looks like we're going to be working this time. Thank you for your patience. One more screen to get out the way. All right. Thank you for your patience there. So here is our inactive list for today. Quarterback Will Grier is inactive today. So I felt like Will Grier would be inactive today, and I felt like he should be inactive today and I feel like he should be inactive for the rest of the season because P.J. Walker came in last week versus the Detroit Lions and had a really solid game in his first NFL matchup. We've seen Will Grier before. It's in several games actually, and we haven't seen the kind of performance that we saw out of P.J. Walker last week. Now, granted, P.J. Walker did make some big mistakes in the red zone, 2 interceptions in that game, but it was still other actions that he did outweighed those 2 interceptions in the red zone. So P.J. Walker is going to be your backup today to Teddy Bridgewater. Will Grier will be inactive. Shelly Long said Tahir Whitehead is active. Hey, you guys are so hard on Tahir. I laugh a little extra, because my son also is not the biggest fan of Tahir Whitehead. But nevertheless, Christian McCaffrey, which did not travel, that was reported yesterday. He's inactive. Cornerback Dante Jackson, Sam Franklin, offensive lineman Dennis Daly, as well as offensive tackle Greg Little is inactive today. So the Greg Little is a interesting inactive because Greg Little has been healthy all week. So we'll have to ask Coach post game what went into making Greg Little inactive, and everything else just looks pretty normal to me. Jermaine Carter will start for Tahir Whitehead, who's been dealing with a rib injury. So that likely means that Tahir will not get much action, but is left as a backup situation. And again, it's interesting that our offensive lineman was inactive and he's healthy. So again, I'm sure after the game when we talk to Coach, which I will get a chance to do so, we'll have some more information for you guys on that. So just trying to make sure that I covered all the questions for everybody. Okay, everything looks good. All right, we're looking good. So that's it for today's broadcast for the pregame show. Appreciate everybody that's been watching all season. Just been doing something different to try to get information to you in lieu of the COVID-19, which has me traveling to 0 games all season. And I've been missing it for a while. I saw some of my, what I want to call them colleagues with other media outlets traveling to Minnesota. Like, man, I remember those days. And it is a lot of fun traveling to the games, covering the games. Hopefully, God willing, this COVID situation to be under wraps, and next season we'll be able to have some normalcy to how we normally cover sports, and I'll be able to be in the stadiums, be in the locker rooms, and get you all a lot of the information that you like to have and see. So, Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe. See you about an hour and a half after the game. Meanwhile, follow me on Twitter.